up, everybody? Welcome to Friday here at Coffee Hour. You made it through the week. You made it to the end. Okay. Hopefully you are get paid today. Building relationships, growing your business, becoming the number one guy or gal on the team. Whatever your goal is. It's the end of the week. The weekend's upon us. These weeks seem to go by so quick now that I'm working remote here at the office at home. So seemed to go so slow when I was in the office, but now they just kind of whip by. A lot of stuff gets done. It's just like whips by. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Glad to have you here. I know you could be anywhere in your mornings, so we are glad to have you here. We have some updates today on the first quarter's giveaways. Jeff hasn't been able to make it in, but I picked up the slack and we should be ready to go. So anyway, we'll talk about those. You saw the title of today's show. It's kind of the Facebook Follies. There's an image over on Facebook that I wanted to discuss today. And so Ted Buck over on the mobile app said that he thought it would be a good discussion for a coffee hour. So we're going to do it. So Ted's getting his wish on this one. If you're not chiming in over there, Ted posts some great pictures and illustrations that have code violations in that you can comment on. So I encourage you to get the mobile app. And then when you get the mobile app, all you got to do is register on the mobile app. You don't use the registration you did on any of our websites. It's totally separate on the mobile app. Make sure you register, and then you can start posting stuff in the chat now feature. He's got some... He posted an illustration over there that's got quite a few little violations in it, but it's one of those ones, those little pictures I used to get where you got to find all the little pieces, find it. So it's kind of that way. And so I started the game, that type of thing. But go check it out. It's a great way to interact directly with me through the mobile app. Okay. And it's only available. You can only chat if you have the mobile app, and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Everybody should have it. That type of thing. All right. Anywho, again, thanks for joining me. As always, folks, do me a favor. Let me know who you are, where you're from in the comments. I live vicariously through all of you, whether or not you're a student or somebody that follows us just in our videos, whether you have Fast Tracks Tube or maybe even Trade Hog. All of those different products that we offer here at Electrical Code Academy. Check them out. Maybe you even have some of our swag, our hats. Well, you're not going to have this hat unless you earned it, but you could have our shirts, right? Shirt or something like that. But anyway, we appreciate you, everything that y'all do. It helps us do what we do. So, all right. And I do thank you for joining us every morning on the show. Love having you here. All right, fellow nerds. We're going to get into it. So I want to do some shout outs to folks. So do me a favor. Let me know who you are, where you're from. But before I do that, I do want to get rid of the announcement when it comes to the first quarter giveaways. We've got some information from people. We're still lacking. And it may be that it's getting lost in the email. And Jeff sent these back to me. The Voltage Drop card winners were Oddflex, Mike Caldry, and we have Adam French. I have your information, Adam. But it seems that we can't find, or I don't know if it's because of the username deal, but we can't seem to find Oddflex's information and Mike Caldry. So if y'all are on here or you watch this at a later date, get that email to us with your mailing address so we can get that stuff out. I was able to touch base with a couple people yesterday and pick up the slack. We also do not have the addresses for D'Angelo Larenega and Trenton Dormert. We do not have, and I don't believe we also don't have the mailing address for Miles Mahoney Music. So if y'all are here and here, they're ready. Just so you know, the ultimate coins have been produced. They're right there. And Ben, somebody asked me, were these just like black coloring? No, they're etched into it. So it's not going to rub off. Okay, these are etched coins. Okay, so that's that. The Ohms wheel, we have Edgar, Adam, and Tino H. We got your information, but basically that's your Ohms wheel for those who see it. There you go, Master and Journeyman, depending on which it is. When you do win these things, and we ask you to send your information, if it is a coin, for example, and it's got options for a master or journeyman, make sure you also let us know which one you want, because we don't know. We'd like for all of you to be masters, but we realize that you're not all masters, so we get it. The voltage drop cards are done. These aren't those cheap little ones. These are thick. Okay, so they're not going to wear out. They go in your wallet. So it's nice to have, give to an apprentice. Well, so the voltage drop cards are printed for those that won those, which were Odd Flex, Mike Cowdery, and Adam French. And then, of course, we have the conductor length cards. This just lets you know how much is still on a reel or in a coil. And that was Melting Toast, which is Rob. We got you. But we don't have the mailing address for Van Man or Ray Lavanders. So we still need that information. And also, the reason that they haven't gone out sooner, one is because we hit our mailers, the bubble mailers. They were out of stock at Uline where we order all that stuff in, but they tell me they're going to arrive today. So that's perfect timing. So we can get all this done, but we still have some addresses that we need. Okay. So make sure if you're watching, I don't know if you won and then you just like said, I'm done with you, Paul, and I'm out of here. That type of thing. I don't know. But just so you can see what we got going on, folks that did win, the minimalist wallet was Haas. Haas, what do you think about that? I know it's hard to tell. What do you think about that, Haas? There you go. Look at that. It's all ready for you, all engraved up. That's going to go out to you. Haas is just right up the way here in Richmond area, right up the road. So it won't take you long to get it once it goes out. But we got Haas's done. Let's see. Who else do we have that had something going on here? Let's see here. Oh, yeah, Rob. Melting Toast. Rob, you had won as well. So there you are. So you can see what yours look like there. Right there. And it is a green. So it's like a forest green. It's actually one of my favorite colors. There you go. Forest green there. Okay. So you said you'd prefer green. We don't let you pick colors, but just so happened it worked out. But it's not vibrant green. It is a kind of a forest type of green. So anyway, we got that going out. And a couple of those. I just grabbed some quick ones. Let's see. What was this one here? By the way, what was this one? Oh, yeah. There you go. This is the one that you ordered, Paul. So there you go. Oh, I got a little card in there with it. But there you go, Paul. There's yours. So they have been engraved. And there's a bunch of more over there, and we have some orders that we had to get out, but I had to catch them up, so I caught them up for everybody. So no worries, we're all caught up. And then Edward Ellis, we needed your information, and Dominic Sanchez. I want to make sure we have your information because you won the knives, and so the knives are right here. So Dominic Sanchez, if you're on here, and Edward Ellis, if you're on here, just give a shout out to us. You sent your email. Give us a shout out. Let us know your mailing address just to double check. I believe we have yours, but just to be sure. But they're all printed now and ready to go, so they will be coming shortly. So you will be notified. Anyway, okay, so that's what we're talking about and that type of good stuff. All right. Okay, so we got all that caught up, and that should be getting taken care of very shortly. The mailers will arrive today, and we will get you all caught up for those type of things. Now, those that got wire waffles and all that stuff, that's being taken care of too. We just didn't have the mailers. And so don't worry. Don't be emailing me 50 times like some people have. You're going to get it. Just be patient. All right, let's do some shout outs real quickly before we get into talking about the Facebook Follies today. And of course, you can ask any question you want, and we can also look at Trade Hog if you want. This is a Friday. Relaxing Friday. So good morning, Seattle. What's up? Haas was in here early. Good morning. You see what yours looks like. There you go. Let's see. Adam's in the house. Good morning. Glad to have you here, Adam, as always. Marlon, glad to have you here, sir. Thomas, there you go. Let's kick butt today. That's what I'm talking about. Positivity. On a Friday, when you're on the downslope, he's still like, dude, no, we're going to get it done today. That's what I'm talking about. That is classic CMECP motivation right there. All right. Still waiting on that essay. Clock's ticking, Thomas. Still waiting. What's up, Frank? There you go. Good morning. Glad to have you here. Beatbox Friday. No! Let's see here. David Bueno. David, thanks for joining us. Brooklyn, New York. Brandon, happy Friday. clock's ticking down on that test. Remember, you can ask questions over on the mobile app. You've done it before. You got any calculation questions? Feel free to put them over there. I'm more than happy to try to answer them for you. Let's see here. Adams, streaming it on the TV. A lot of people do that. I actually do that a lot. I have a big 80-inch, or is it 85? Whatever. It's huge down in the living room area, basement area. And I stream I watch a lot of YouTube. I don't watch a lot of the regular TV anymore. I watch a lot of YouTube because I think there's some very creative people on there. And I watch a lot of like Scott on Tape, Grimm Collective, those type of things. I watch them. I think they're kind of neat. But I watch it on a big TV too. Let's see. What's up, Erie? Thanks. Can't watch myself on the big TV because then all my imperfections show. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Paul? Glad to have you here. You saw what your little wallet looks like there. What's up, Santana? Welcome. I know you've been waiting on that wallet, Paul. But we got you. Oh, by the way, we are producing very limited number of these. And this says NEC code strong, and it is Fast Tracks Family. So that's our Fast Tracks Family logo with code strong. So we can have your name put on it as well. I don't think these are on the website, but people have had these and they want their name. In the past, we've offered them. They want their name here, and then down here, we'll put in smaller letters, Master Electrician or Journeyman Electrician or whatever you want it to be. You just got to let us know in the comments when you order. And we're going to do these for the same price. I believe in giving you value. So these are like the Ridge. They hold up very well. I recommend you loosen the screws and put a little Loctite on them, but that's up to you. But like anything, if you wear it in your front pocket and you put tools in there and stuff like that, they're going to get beat up. It is what it is. Okay, this is etched in it, but can you scratch this? Absolutely, you can. Like anything, it's not scratch resistant. Not going to last forever. I go through one of these probably about every year and a half. I end up making a new one, but we made them cost effective. So even with your name and customized and everything, we're looking like $15.95, right? So, and it's customized, okay? But if you want to support and you're in the Fast Tracks and you're in a Fast Tracks family, then these are available. We don't let you pick the color. We pick the color. It's based on what we have, but it's pretty cool, right? That type of thing. And you can customize it. So when these are available on the site, if you're interested, in the comments when you make the order, that's where you're going to put in the comments what you want on it. Otherwise, we'll reach out to you and say, what do you want on it? That type of thing. And maybe you want nothing on it. Maybe you want it just virgin like that. That's fine too. That's fine. We don't care. Whatever you want. But again, those for the Fast Tracks members who, we have over 10,000 students that have been through our programs in the last couple of years. So, we like to do certain little things like that. And I like to keep the costs down. I mean, the Ridge wallets are like $60, $50, $60, $70. And I think they're just as good, and they hold up. Okay. I mean, are you going to scratch them? Yeah. And will screws come loose? Yeah, they will on any of them. But that's why I always recommend just loosen them, drop a little Loctite, boom. It's just me. You do what you want. All right, let's get back to some shout outs here. What's up, Mike from the outdoors? There you go. Congratulations on being here. Okay. You're a winner today just by being here. How about that? Brandon's down in Houston, Texas. Okay. There you go, Edward. Edward, welcome. Make sure you just reach out to us. I did send you an email, whether you got it or not. Let us know your mailing address. That way we know we have it. What's up, George? Thanks for joining us. Good morning, Rob. Did you see what your wallet looked like there? Okay. Let's see here. Made it to another Friday. What's up, Not R. Kelly? That's a name from the past. What's up? Yo, glad to have you here. Good morning, Rob. Okay, thanks for joining us. Let's see here. Tom says, I won't be getting my CMECP hat unless I get butt in gear and review my essay and submit it. Yes, you need to get it going. The biggest thing is getting one of these. One of these CMECP coins, okay? That's the little secret to being able to show people you're a CMECP. Obviously, look, the pins as well, but anyway, that's the big thing. Let's see here. What's up, David? Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you here. What's up, Tony? Welcome. Glad to have you here as always. Let's see here. Jonathan's in the house. That's for you. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to do some little clicking for you, Tom. Jonathan. That's me. All right, enough of that. I'm a damn grown-ass man. What's up, Leroy? Glad to have you in the house. Welcome. There you go. Haas, you like it. Haas says that is dope. It is awesome. Let's see. What's up, Manny? Welcome, Manny. Glad to have you here. Love the hoodie. Love the hoodie. And thanks for showing the support. Rob likes the color. I like the green too, bro. It's that dark green, forest green. I like it better. The light green's nice too, but it does show scratches, for some reason, the way it shines. But I love them all. But that's kind of a forest green, okay? What did Frank say? I think knives are illegal out there. Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, because y'all are very safe out in L.A. Let's see here. What's up? Yep. Got to earn that hat. Okay, wear it with pride. What's up, Edgar? Glad to have you here. Welcome. Good morning, Anselmo. Glad to have you here, my friend. What's up? Cray Cray's in the house from Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know how many times I've been through Nashville. Never went to the Grand Ole Opry. Never went to any of that stuff, the Ryman and all that kind of stuff. You know what? That type of thing. Let's see here. What's up?
Woo, 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 woo.
What's up,
Big
Dog?
Dog?
Oh, I do have an announcement for Red Dog and them. Okay, we're having a little bit of an issue, Red Dog and Manny Sanchez. We're having an issue with the custom plates because we used to do those with the CO2, and now that we shifted over 100% laser, fiber laser, we're still working on the designs for that. So again, the only ones that we can't fulfill right now will be the custom plates, but don't worry, I've got you here. And then the only other thing is the Trade Hog subscriptions. That's your Red Dog. You're on one of those, and Terrence, you're on one of those. You should be getting notified about those soon. We do have the annual setup on the Trade Hog. It's just not turned live yet. So don't worry. We'll get you that. And the moment you get it, you'll have access to that. We'll give you the instructions, that type of thing. Good morning. Glad to have you here. What's up, AJ? Glad to have you here. Not R. Kelly. Still catches the videos from time to time. Yep. We don't do as many videos as we used to do, but we have a lot more over on Fast Tracks Tube, but we don't do as many. All right, Edward, you sent your address. Appreciate it. Thank you. Now you want some breakdancing. You don't get no breakdancing from me, bro. Come on. Ain't enough room in this. Ain't enough space in here for this whale to be doing any back spinning, windmilling. I could do the wave. Ooh, there you go. Okay, all right. No, they don't say, and it says Paul teaches electrical because he never did it. They don't say it. Well, how could I do such a nice bring it back up? How could I do such a nice wave if I never did it before? How could I break it down? How could I pop and lock it if I never did it? Dude, I'm old as dirt. But I come from that era where it was okay to carry around a piece of cardboard. I'm just saying. All right. Anyway. Okay, let's talk about Facebook Follies. Anybody? If you came in late, do me a favor. Let me know who you are, where you're from. I'll pop you on the screen. I appreciate all of you. We're having fun, relaxing. I do have some coffee in here. Not much, but I got a little bit. What's up, Poppy? I do have a little bit in here, but not a lot. And it's a K-cup. I'm a cheater. Okay. I'm a cheater. I do K-cup cheater. Also, shout out to folks over on Instagram. They have not figured out how to get the chats. And Evie Muck says that it's actually the fault of Instagram. It's not their fault. They say Instagram doesn't have what's called an API code to use. But it's funny because Instagram is owned by Facebook, and obviously folks from Facebook are here. So I don't think the two companies, even though they're part of one umbrella, what is it called? Meta? I don't think they talk very well. I'm just saying, it sounds like our government. Let's see here. Shout out South Jersey. That's what I'm talking about. Whoop, whoop.
Woo, 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 woo. Big dog.
Okay. So what we're going to talk about a little bit today is we're going to talk about paralleling. We're going to talk about parallel conductors, and we're going to talk about an image that was posted over on Facebook. And it was posted in that forum that I told y'all that I would follow. I have a love-hate relationship for this forum. I join it, and then I just say, screw it, I'm not. Because, again, y'all know I don't like social media, and I cringe at the stuff that I see posted. 90%, 99%, hell, that's a big jump. 90, let's go in the middle. 95% of the stuff that's posted on that electrician forum with 1 million followers is nothing but clickbait. All it's doing is trying to get you riled up. It's kind of like the political debates where people just post stuff to get people riled up, right? And I never seem to get strikes against me on any of the platforms, especially TikTok, until I start getting political. And then I have people that go, well, Paul, you're just electrical. You should never talk political. Well, you need to tell that to LeBron James and Willie Nelson and all those others that seem to go political all the time, right? There's some of those folks that on shows, like I watched something that Billy Bob Thornton was on, and he started going a little bit political. I don't know which way he was going to go, but I turned it off real quick. I'm like, don't ruin that show for me. I love Landman. I don't want to know where you are politically. I don't want to know nothing about it. I just want to watch the show. I want to listen to the music. So when the artists do that type of thing. So, but I'm just as guilty. So is what it is. But for me, I just try to turn it off because I just want to watch the show. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I love that show. 2 favorite shows that I like: Tulsa King and Landman. Flat out. There was another show that I started watching that I kind of liked. I can't remember what it was. It's this Woman Military Girls, written by the same guy that writes the Landman and all that. What was that? I started watching that and I thought it was pretty good. Tigress? Is it Tigress? Maybe? Okay. Let's see. Anyway, that time. Anyway, sorry, I digress. So anyway, there was a post on Facebook and a guy posted it. And he put something like 500 MCMs copper is easy. That was the title. And I mean, I could tell it was somebody old school. No, not MASH. Come on, I ain't that damn old, bro. Really? So MASH. Although I did like MASH. Alan Alda, Loretta Swift, all them. I liked all that. She just passed away, by the way. Jamie Farr, he was funny on that show. Anyway, Lioness, that's it. Lioness, that's the other show I like. So Tulsa Kings, I like Landman, and I like that Lioness, okay? And so anyway, dude, I'm all over the place today. This is the side effect of ADD with running out of coffee, okay? Getting low. Your mind starts wandering. All right. Anyway, so it was a parallel application that was posted. And if you were to go there and you know the difference and you go to the post, what is the first thing that we folks do when we go to a post that we look at and we think is crazy, or, we know that it's got all these comments. We see that it's got hundreds and hundreds of comments. You know as well as I do, immediately you jump to the comments, right? And start reading these comments, okay? And so I did that. And I thought it was hilarious. In order to do that, I jumped straight to the comments, and I started reading the comments, and then that's where you start getting depressed. You start losing hope for all humanity because of some of the comments that people make, because they clearly don't understand what the code allows you to do. And then they start talking about theories like generating heat and expanding and collapsing magnetic fields, and you're going to melt this down, or it's a good way to create a heater and all this kind of. And I'm like, where do you get that from that image? And I realized something, and I'll show the image, and we'll discuss it. But I realized that when I saw that people just don't know. And so they tend to comment about things they don't know. And I was like, okay, it's got to have a discussion on it. So we're going to talk about paralleling today. And we're going to look at a couple things in paralleling. We're going to, try to maybe cover a few items with it and answer any questions that you may have on this subject. So let's go ahead and go and look first at what we're talking about. Ready? All right, let's go look at it. So this is the image. Some of you may have seen it. You may be in social media. You may have seen me post it, reposting it, and it caused so many people to comment that I was like, dude, I remember I said I wasn't going to participate in a lot of social media. I was going to reduce it. I pretty much only use TikTok for marketing and all this kind of stuff. I couldn't help it. I started commenting again. It was, again, after I'd already got my wife all situated and I had some free time and I could have done something more productive with my time. But I started looking at these posts and then I started cringing going, okay, here's where we're at today. People are learning or propagating stuff or teaching false information and it just get crazy or speculating about things that they know nothing about. So look at this installation. So obviously, this is dealing with an application where there are 8 sets, okay? There are 8 sets of raceways, okay? And so there's 8 raceways here. Obviously, you don't see an equipment ground. So obviously, this is a service, okay? Obviously, it's coming into an open bottom enclosure. And that's really all we can see, except we do see a common neutral bus in the back, okay? But other than that, this is really all we see. So I don't speculate on anything that I can't see. We only can speculate on what we see. So we know it's a parallel installation, right? Now, the real issue here was the sheer number of comments. And I know y'all can't see these comments. So I just kind of read some of these comments here. Let's see here. Here's one from a guy named Neil Spigot. So whatever it says, pipe's going to get hot. The engineers are dumbasses, right? This comment right here, right? Let's see. And here's one, Chuck Warnock, whatever it says, that's going to build up heat, right? And in the comments, get more. I mean, it goes down here. No, this one. Jessica says, nope, I'm not going to touch this one. And again, get half of America angry. Okay. And this guy posts, hopefully these are all PVC and not EMT because they did the grounds wrong. What grounds? Okay, this is obviously a service coming in. Okay, and it's all PVC. Okay, so I don't even know what this means. Let's see here. This guy goes, this one right here, this guy goes, strong no. Love those comments when people go, no, whatever, but they don't understand. Let's see. Okay, I say, okay. Here's a guy says, separating phases, non-metallic, okay, but placing the grounding conductor in a separate conduit is not okay. What are we talking about? We have grounded conductors in this image, and we have ungrounded hot conductors. We don't have any equipment ground in this. This is a service coming in. So there's no overcurrent protected device to clear. Okay, so we got a lot of comments that'll be, and one person says that they have to be sealed. Pipes need to be sealed. Okay, all this kind of. And then he says, lugs are not making full contact with the bus bar. How can you see that stuff? How can you even see this? I see a bolted lug here. So I don't know. But anyway, I figure, and there's a lot of other comments here that we just won't get into. And this is a rebirth, if you will, of all the comments. Okay, because this is a repost by somebody who wanted to stir up some more crap again, right? So the original one, see, this only has 27 comments. I couldn't find the original one, but let me tell you what, the original, and we're going to break that down. The original post had literally hundreds and hundreds, and I can't find it anymore, but it's there. You go hunt for it. God, some of the comments that were made, I gotta laugh. I just sit there and grab the coffee and read through these comments and go, this is our, and it's one thing to not know. I'm going to give it to that. One thing to be taught a certain way and then not know that this is an option, and I'll explain and break it down. But to post it and then be so vigilant at posting when you're wrong, but they won't let it go. Me and Angry talk about this all the time when somebody argues with us, and it's okay to have a healthy argument. Don't get me wrong. But when we explain something and give you the code reference and break it down, yet somebody still wants to argue in a social media post, and your name is right there, right? Hell, at least use TradeHog to support your argument or something. GPT or something. But they tend to not do that. And they want to argue, and they realize they just keep digging their hole. And then it really turns into a name calling thing after that. And I'm not really gonna get into participating in that. I mean, maybe one jab here or there, but then I'm out. I don't have the stones for it. I don't want to deal in it. Okay. If you don't want to learn, then I don't care. I'm not going to teach you. So look here. So one of the things that we've always been taught, right, when it comes to installing conductors in a parallel application. Now, the first thing they don't realize that this is utility, right? So this is supply side. Okay. So the sizing of these, he just says 500. So it looks like that we did 8 sets of 500. That type of thing. We don't know the details. We don't know if this is a feeder, and I would say it isn't based on the way it's ran and the fact that there's no equipment ground with it, that I'm going to say it. But what we focus on when we teach is let's focus on the trigger. What's triggering people? What's triggering them is the code will tell us in 300.3 that we're going to have to run all conductors of a set together. So typically, you would have, and I will take you to a lesson really quickly, just so you can see. So we'll share this. Oh no, this one's the one we want. We'll share this one right here. This one. Okay, this is what we're looking at. Conductors in parallel. This is out of our Fast Tracks program, by the way. And we'll talk about the requirements for paralleling. But this is right here, this picture. This is what's traditionally everybody's used to, right? I mean, face it. A, B, C, black, red, blue, brown, orange, yellow, whatnot, in each raceway, okay? This is what everybody's used to seeing, right? And so this is what you expect to see. However, there are specific allowances that you have to meet specific criteria that say, you know what? I'll let you run what's called isolated phases or isolated conductors, right? Because it's not always isolated phases. It was 3-phase and it would be isolated phases. But if it's all single phase and it's not isolated phase, it's just isolated legs, that type of thing. But at the end of the day, this is probably traditionally what you see, right? And then you get something like this and people freak out. They go, wait a minute. I'm used to reading where if you don't run the A, B, and C together, or black, red, blue, or brown, orange, yellow, if you don't run them together with the neutral, then you create heat. Okay, so you create inductive heating. Okay, well, we have some allowances to do this. And you may say, well, I would never do this. Well, that's you, boo. You do what you want to do, but the code has a provision for this. So let's go look at the code quickly and see what we can determine about this. So a couple things we do know about paralleling. That we have to go look at 310.10 G or H, depending on which code cycle you're in, and understand what we have to meet when it comes to paralleling, okay? So, for example, easiest way to explain it is like in this image. All of this browns, okay? We'll talk about this spacing here in a second, but let's talk about paralleling for a second. All of these phases, phase A, let's just call it phase A for whatever, craps and giggles. All of these conductors have to be the same length, the same conductive material, means if these are aluminum, they all have to be aluminum. If they're all copper, they all got to be copper. They all have to be terminated in the same method, okay? And so the insulation has to all be the same type, right? So all of these characteristics for that set, okay, have to be the same. Why is that? Well, the main reason for that, as far as we're concerned, is the equal distribution of current. If a conductor is longer in that run than one of the others, then it introduces more resistance because it's longer into that run. So if we calculate a load and we have a certain number of amps and we figure out the length and we've done all our voltage drop, we've done everything we need to do, and we figure out how many sets we need, and what we do is we connect them in parallel, which requires them to be physically connected together at both ends so that that set, this picture right here, I use this to explain to all, this right here to me is one conductor. When it's connected in parallel at each end, like this, okay, or similar at the other end, then it is considered one conductor. It acts as one. So to me, this is no different than one big stranded conductor. All the strands together act as one. So same concept. So in order to be paralleling, both ends, this end here and the other end of these browns, have to come together on a common set of lugs. And they have to all terminate. They have to be the same length, same characteristics, same conductive material, but that only applies to this set, okay? All right, now, if I was running it like this here, same scenario, okay? Same scenario. All of the A's would still have to be the same length. All the B's have to be the same length. All the C's have to be the same length, okay? So again, all those characteristics. Another thing that's extremely important that people lose sight of, and we're going to go look at it, is that in order to be able to even do this, let's see here, right here. In order for us to even be able to do this, I have to make sure that where this is permitted, I have to make sure that one of the rules for paralleling is that each raceway has the same number of conductors, okay? So that's critically important. So in this image right here, I have 8 total conductors, but they're going to use 2 raceways, and there's 4 in each raceway. That is okay. This application, and we're going to see the details of this application. But even when we do this, like the normal application that you all may be familiar with, where there's an ABC and neutral in one raceway, and if it's a feeder, also an equipment ground, the difference is that we have to make sure that each raceway has the same amount of conductors. So even if I'm using this, which again, you're going to see when this is allowed, okay? So this is not allowed just in general, running it through a building. That would be the picture that we showed you. This has a specific allowance where you're isolating out the conductors like this. Now, I could not have 3 in this raceway and 4 in this raceway, okay? Couldn't do that because we're going to show you where we have to meet those general rules, okay? You still have to meet the general rules. So that would be, if I had 7 sets, then I'd have to figure out how I'm going to do this. I'd have to add additional. If I want to do this installation like that, and I have 7, I can't put 4 in this one and 3 in this one, okay? So we still have limitations, all right? So you're probably going to not be able to do it this way. You're going to have to switch to where you're going to put A, B, C, or brown, orange, yellow, or black, red, blue with neutral and a ground in one raceway and size it that way. So you don't automatically get to do this. You have to be very aware of the number of raceways you have. So the engineer has to think about how he's doing this. And of course, the installer has to follow that plan. So that's the first thing, okay? We have to meet all the characteristics of paralleling. And remember, that only applies per set. So these could be aluminum, this could be copper, this could be aluminum again, or vice versa, okay? It's all the characteristics of paralleling have to be for that same phase or that same leg, okay? That type of thing. Make it make sense, okay? All right, so now let's first take this, look at this, and let's say, okay, let's see, where do we get the genesis for us to be able to do this, okay? All right, so we're gonna look at the code. And here's the code, and you know what? Let's go to this one. A little bit easier for you to be able to comment, and I can see your comments. So here is 300.3 for conductors, and we're going to get down to right here. So this is conductors in the same circuit, okay? All right. Now it says all conductors of the same circuit and where used, the grounded conductor. Okay, and the reason it says that is because you don't always have a need for feeder applications or even branch circuit applications. You don't always have the need for a grounded conductor, right? If I'm going to a motor that does not utilize a grounded conductor, then I don't need to run one. So that's why it says it like that. It says, and where used, a grounded conductor. And all equipment grounded conductors and bonding conductors shall be contained within the same raceway, conduit body, auxiliary gutter, cable tray, cable bus assembly, trench, cable, or cord, unless, dun dun dun, unless permitted in accordance with 300.3b1 through b4. Okay, all right. So the general rule is we run all of our conductors together. All conductors are the same circuit, and a circuit's going to be black, red, blue, brown, orange, yellow, neutral where applicable, and of course an equipment ground, all in the same raceway. But you get some allowances. Okay, so let's kind of go down here and look and see what we got. So here it says parallel installations. That's what we have. That's what this picture is. This is a parallel installation. And understand something, what paralleling means again. Connected together at both ends. So if I have, and I love to use this analogy so people really do take a mental picture of this. If I have a 400 amp service for a resident, and I have a 400 amp, usually it's a 320, 400, things like that. But I have the meter and it comes out of the back of it and hits two separate service disconnects. Okay, and they're 200 amp, let's say. That is not in parallel. Because at one end, they're connected together. But at the other end of those SE cables, they're not connected in parallel. They each go to a separate enclosure. So don't confuse that as being run in parallel, because they're not. In order to be parallel, they have to be connected together, those conductors, at both ends, so that the current that's being drawn, and that's why you're sizing it, will distribute evenly. If one of those conductors has higher resistance than the other, then what's going to happen is you're going to have an unbalanced level of current. So one conductor will be carrying more current than the others. So the others may be fine, but you may have one leg that maybe if you're sizing the conductors right on the fringe of what's allowed in the code, you could have one leg that burns up because it causes the insulation to break down. Why? Because it's carrying more current than it should be because somebody didn't do paralleling properly. Okay? Have I seen this happen? Absolutely, I have. Okay, and this is something that's very important because if you run a lot of sets of raceways and you're making them nice and pretty and they turn, what you have to remember is that the raceway on the inner bend is not going to be as long as the raceway on the outer bend. So you're going to have to compensate for that in the enclosures. Totally missed by so many people. And you know what? In a scheme of life, a couple feet may not make a difference, but it depends on how much load you're going to be pulling. If you're doing a data center, for example, where I got involved in a situation about, I guess it's 10 years ago now, 12 years ago now, 11, something like that, where the conductors were breaking down. They were, plasticizer was coming out of them, shit was melting down. And they were like, "Oh, it's got to be the wire. It's got to be the wire." I didn't even work for Encore Wire, Prismium, or any wire and cable manufacturer at the time. But I was called in to evaluate the design. And what I found was that they were loading these conductors and not taking into consideration the fact that heat rises over these gutters they were putting them in. They didn't realize that these were continuous loads. They didn't realize that they didn't size these server racks for the full amount that could be put in it. They originally called it a test bank, and they built this big area. But then they, obviously, internet grows. People want to they want to make money. So the test bank turned into a real world scenario where they were actually putting servers in there and loading them up. And what happened? They didn't account for these things. Started breaking down. There was we were talking lawsuits that were, tens of 20s of 30s of, I think it was $80 million. It caused them lost business. And I got called in and I analyzed the system and found out that the engineer had designed it wrong. They didn't take things into consideration. Of course, that made the wire and cable folks happy. But at the end of the day, design is critical, especially in things like data centers or things that pull heavy loads. You know in the future they will. Or if you're sizing things and the calculation for the load draw is up there near the max. And so it seems to be that the bigger the services are, they don't build any extra headroom in the conductors. They're like, oh, but it's smaller. They're like, oh, let's just go to this size and we got some headroom. But when it comes to bigger, they're like, no, it's extra cost to jump up to this size. So, hey, this 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of conductors can handle this much. We're gonna take it right to the max, right? Well, then that's the problem. It's causes things to break down, melt down, and go bad. So if they're conductors, in that case, there were conductors that were not compensated for distances, and they were drawing the maximum amount of current that they could draw on those conductors, not even taking into consideration continuous load applications where those servers were running full bore all the time, 24/7. That's where the problem came from, and it was poor design. Okay, and so immediately the lawsuits went away and everybody just went away because they realized that it was easy to blame it for somebody else, but it was their own design. What's up, Pedro? Watching from France. We are international, folks.
Woo, 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 woo. Big dog.
Thank you for joining us, Pedro. Going back to California soon? Welcome back. My condolences for going to California, though, but still, welcome back. Okay? All right. I know that France is not on the no-fly or whatever, that new whatever thing, so you should be okay. You should be able to make it back. All right? All right, let's look back at this image real quick. Okay, so let's kind of identify this and when this is okay. So let's go where obviously this is a parallel installation. So over here it says conductors shall be permitted to be run in parallel in accordance 310.10G. And by the way, that is what we just talked about. And you notice what it says, you can run aluminum, this product, copper circuit conductors for each ungrounded conductor, grounded conductor, or neutral conductor shall be permitted to be connected in parallel. That's electrically joined at both ends. Okay, remember that's a key component. Now, notice it doesn't say equipment grounds. Equipment grounds, even though they have to be installed in each raceway, they're not being done in parallel. Okay, they're typically full-sized in all raceways, although we do have in the 2026, they're going to allow you the equipment ground to not be larger than the largest ungrounded conductor in any of the sets raceways, okay? That type of thing. I believe that's wrong. I think it should be based on the summation of all the conductors because what did I say? They act as one conductor, so it's basically one circuit conductor. And that's kind of how it's set in 250.122a, but there's a change coming, so be aware of that. Again, if something happens, I'm not going to be the one to say I told them so, but I hope nothing ever happens and I just fades away and everything's okay. All right, now also, important for you exam preppers to realize that, again, this paralleling only applies to 1/0 and larger, okay? 1/0 and larger. Now, there are some exceptions here, one for when it be smaller, but those are very unique and not the norm, okay? So I'm not going to get into those exceptions, okay? Now, other exception is under engineer supervision. 2 AW and 1 AW grounded neutral conductor shall be permitted to be installed in parallel for existing installations. Okay, so there are some allowances, but we're not going to get into those and talk about it. Now, here's the characteristics I told you about. So again, paralleling grounded conductors, paralleling the ungrounded hot conductors, things like that, not less than 1/0 in parallel. Okay, and then of course it also says that the characteristics. So it says the parallel conductors that comprise each ungrounded conductor, grounded conductor, neutral conductor, okay, equipment grounding conductor, equipment bonding jumper, or supply side bonding jumper shall comply with all of the following. So we're not paralleling equipment grounds in order to be able to get more current carrying capacity. That's what we're doing for the ungrounded hot and neutral. But even when we install equipment grounds, we still have to follow. We're not doing it for the parallel benefit. We're installing it like the others because we have to follow the same characteristic models. Okay, so in doing that, it says they have to be the same length. Okay. It consists of the same conductive material, has to be the same size and circular mills, has had the same insulation type, and terminated in the same manner. Okay, Now here, it says separate cables or raceways. It says where runs in separate cables or raceways, the cables or raceways with conductors shall have the same number of conductors and shall have the same electrical characteristics. Okay, so important when I'm running this application. It basically says each raceway has to have the same number of conductors. Okay. I'm not going there, Van Man. Send us a message on paullabernathe.com. I'm into paralleling right now. So let's see. Okay, so it says conductors composing one parallel set shall not be required to have the same physical characteristics of those in another parallel set. Okay, all right. So in that scenario, we're saying, okay, so all of the A's that are running in one all have the same characteristics. All meet all those requirements, right? All the same for phase B. Same scenario, okay? All that same stuff, okay? All right? And this is the one that says about the equipment grounding conductors. It says where parallel equipment grounding conductors are used, it says they shall be sized in accordance with 250.122. Sectioned equipment grounding conductors smaller than 1/0 shall be permitted as long as it's in a multi-conductor cable. Sectioning means it has maybe 3 equipment grounds that cumulatively would meet the size requirement for 1 equipment ground. They just section it out, okay? That type of thing. But again, it says combined circular mill of that sectioned equipment ground has to meet the requirements for 250.122 if you were putting 1 in there. Okay, that makes sense? Okay, so that is all of the rules involved for that. Okay, now when it comes to, you have some exceptions here for conductors in smaller sizes. So smaller than 1/0 shall be permitted to be run in parallel. And again, that would be things for relays, contactors, instrumentation, all that kind of stuff. Then you have some allowances here, which they may or may not, Van Man, cover your application down here, okay? And then you may have some specific requirements up in 620. I can't recall those. I don't design the elevator tray cables, and I've never seen an elevator cable that was run over that needed to be run in parallel. Usually the travel cable is designed, you only want to have one cable going to the moving car. So I've never seen that done in parallel. So I can't say yes or no. If it falls under this exception, then obviously if it's for these applications, then you could do that. Yeah, I don't know if that's something on a test. I don't know. But I would say you have to follow these rules here. So I would assume they have to tell you that's what they're dealing with that time. All right. Okay. All right, now, so let's get into that picture application that we have. So we're going to be talking about, so that is the rule, right, that we have. So now back to this picture that was on Facebook. So what permits this? Because you just read that I'm going to run ABC in one raceway with the neutral if required. And if it's a service, it's always required, okay? So they got to bring the neutral, so that's a given. No equipment ground in this picture because this is a utility. There is no... and it's all plastic coming in, and it's got bushings on the ends. It's all that stuff is done right. So everything looks good, except for people don't like it separated in the various raceways. Okay, all right. So let's kind of go look at the code. So we have an exception. What does this exception right here say? So this is the exception, right, that we're talking about of when it comes to being able to do this install, okay? I am touching parallel. You mean calculations? I don't know if we're going to be able to do some calculations today in a 1 hour period here. So more than happy to do calculations, but that's pretty simple if you think about it. If you have an 800 amps and your load is 800, right, and you're not over 800, you're sizing conductors, basically you're going to, however many sets you want to run, to coordinate with the number of conductors you want to run, you just take whatever it is you're going to be at and you divide it by the number of sets that you want. And then you find a conductor for each set. So if I need Let's just say I need 600 amps and I want to run 3 sets. Then I want to take that 600 amps, I'm going to divide it by 3, and I need a conductor in each raceway that is going to be at least 200 amps. So collectively, it's going to equate to 600 amps. So paralleling is just a matter of taking the loads that you need and for the amps. So you're going to do a load calculation. I need a conductor that's 789 amps. Okay, so again, that's not over 800, so it doesn't correspond. So 240.4b says I can go to the next standard size. So I'm going to go up to an 800, although I still have to have conductors that can handle the load. So if it was 789 amps of the calculated load, I'm going to take that 789 amps and I'm going to determine how many sets. What do I want to play with? Do I want to do 2 sets and have bigger conductors, or am I going to do 3 sets and have a little smaller conductors, or 4 sets and have a little more conductors? So you basically take whatever the amps are, the conductors you need, and divide it by the number of sets that you want to run. And so then each of those conductors, when connected in parallel, is going to cumulatively give you the amps that you need to handle the load, right? So that is how you would do it in order to determine a calculation. Now, as far as the characteristics, that's just making sure that you install the raceways the same, that you install the length of the conductors the same, all the characteristics of each set are the same. Remember, phase A could be copper, phase B could be aluminum, phase C could be that copper other stuff. But at the end of the day, all of A has to meet all the characteristics. So you make sure that you pick the same insulation type. They're the same length. So I recommend that you cut these before you pull them, because you're pulling multiple conductors. Know what you're going to have. Know the lengths that you're working with. Don't risk one being much longer than the other. Make sure you're using the same lugs for everything on either end, that type of thing, and you really can't go wrong. If you're routing them in there, make sure that you have the same length of conductors in your routing. In the scheme of life, I don't think 6 inches, foot like that's probably going to make that big of a difference. But in reality, and I don't know that anybody would even know that, and that's usually not going to be a big enough factor. But code is code, and code requires all of those characteristics to be the same, that type of thing. Okay, I don't know if that explains sizing to you. But that's typically how we would do paralleling. Now, when it comes to the neutral, same thing. We have to do a neutral load calculation. Once we know that neutral load calculation, then we got to make sure that we have a minimum size neutral application. So we got to be aware of 25102C1, right? And things like that. So make sure that our neutral typically in minimum sizes, but we also want to make sure that we're going to actually also handle the calculated neutral load. So usually 250.102C1 is irrelevant, because once you size it to the neutral load calculation, especially if you're running multiple sets, usually will take care of itself. Can you parallel the neutral in multiple raceways as well? Absolutely you can. But remember, if you did a neutral calculation, which is obviously going to be the maximum imbalance load, you may come up with a calculation that's size, let's say, something like a 1 gauge. Well, you need to know in your mind that, even though it could be 1 gauge in each raceway for the neutral, I can't do that because I'm paralleling. The minimum size for paralleling in 310.10 is what? It's 1/0. So a lot of times it's going to force your cumulative size of your neutral to be larger than you need anyway, but that's okay. It can't be less than 1/0. That makes sense? So keeping that in mind in that scenario. Okay. All right. So look at this exception. What does this exception say? It says conductors installed in a non-metallic raceway run underground. So again, it's got to be non-metallic and it's got to be run underground. You can't use that picture shown on Facebook above ground. Underground, non-metallic raceway only. Okay. Now, if there was a heat issue, don't you think there'd be a problem? I'm just saying. All right. No, it says it shall be permitted. Now, you can do it the way you always did it. Okay. Black, red, blue, brown, orange, yellow, neutral in one raceway if you want, that type of thing, and do it that way. You can do that too, but you are allowed to do this. Now, some people say, why would I, just so you know, for craps and giggles, what would be a reason why somebody would choose to do this? One of the reasons maybe is where the lugs land or where the lugs lay out. And they might have looked at this and says, that's straight runs straight up and into the lug, depending on the size. And I think that's what he meant with 500 kc mills being easy. Copper, it's not easy to bend 500s. Now, if I had done that in this enclosure, then you would have had going this way and then this way and this way, and you'd have all these offsets and all that type of stuff. And it is obviously would be a little harder of an install. I mean, we do it every day, but this one was easy. They come straight up, straight to the lug. So this may have been, they have the ability to do it. The code says it's okay. There's not going to be a heating issue as long as all those raceways are one in close proximity, and they are. I don't know how they can get any closer than that. Then it's okay to do it. And again, for all those out there to say, I would never do that, the question is, why? Well, it's going to heat build up. Well, I just explained to you it's not. And the code says it's okay. So, well, code's a minimum. I always go above the minimum. Well, unless you're some kind of metallurgist or you have some scientific knowledge that says otherwise, I think that the code making panel folks that have, this has been in there a long time, I think they know what they're talking about. Now, you could choose not to do it like this, but that's up to you. That's a decision between you and your designer, your engineer, or your owner, whatever. That's up to you. I'm just saying. So far, let's see. Okay. So anyway, that's that. And it says that they have to be arranged as isolated phase, neutral, and grounded conductor installations. Remember, we don't always have a neutral, but we do always have a grounded conductor in an application when you're talking about neutrals and grounded conductors. Okay, so not all systems have a neutral, right? But all neutrals are grounded systems, okay? All right, now it says the raceways shall be installed in close proximity. So that's important. So this could have been a problem, right? This could have been a problem if the installer got all crazy on us, started running this crap all wacky, right? And he had like a raceway over here, one over here, one over here, one over here, one over here. Not how you guys do it. Usually you bring these up, you strap them together so they keep them uniformed. But it's a good thing he did, because that's okay. It's about as close as you can get mounted together, okay? All the lugs look identical, okay? So I don't have a problem. I can't see the other end, but this end looks okay for that. All right, let's go to the NEC. All right, it says the raceway shall be installed in close proximity, and the isolated phase, neutral, and ground conductor shall comply with 300.20b. Well, in this case right here, it's an open bottom. So it's not passing through any side wall of an enclosure, because that's where 300.20b can come into play. And that is where it's talking about where you may have, where single conductors carrying alternating current pass through metal with the magnetic properties like ferrous metal, that type of thing that has a lot of iron in there. And then it says the inductive effect shall be minimized by either cutting slots in the metal between the individual holes through which the individual conductors pass, or passing all the conductors in the circuit through an insulating wall sufficiently large for all the conductors of that circuit. It says exception, that's something else, and I was hoping they had a picture in here, but I don't see it, that type of thing. So in this case, not an issue. One, because the raceways aren't ferrous, they're non-metallic. Two, the conductors themselves are aluminum, so they're non-ferrous. That's not an issue. Plus, they're all in close proximity. And I'm not running individuals in through, that type of thing. But this could be different if you're doing this and you actually have, they're spaced apart. If they're spaced apart, the only way that you don't meet the rule about close proximity, so that's out the window, right? Now, if you were bringing these through a bottom of a cabinet that was a ferrous, okay, so it's steel with iron in it, okay, ferrous enclosure, and you brought these in, then typically, if you're going to bring it through single knockouts, then one of the things you want to do is you could interconnect all of these KOs together to make it act like one big whole, right? And then you would mitigate any issues of inductive heating on that, okay, scenario. All right. All right. Anyway, that's just making a reference to that. So this image has no issue with that. Okay. There is no problem with that at all. Okay. Now, again, non-ferrous wiring methods, it says conductors in wiring methods with a non-metallic or other non-magnetic sheathing were run in different raceways, auxiliary gutters, cable trays, trenches, cables, cords, shall comply with 300.20b, which is what we just looked at, which is why, and if they brought it into a ferrous bottom and it had individual knockouts for these, and you were using the non-metallic and you were separating the conductors like this, then it's saying, look, that's fine, but you need to follow the requirements of 300.20b, and that would be typically we would just cut a slot between all of the KOs. It doesn't affect the integrity of the KO, it's just creating a slot. By connecting all of these KO openings together, it makes them act as one, okay? And it removes that inductive heating, okay? So there's many things you can do, okay? You're not kind of pigeonholed into that. You've got other options that you can do on this installation. So that in itself brings us again back to the image. This is perfectly fine. There's nothing that is against code about this installation right here. They're non-metallic. They are also, again, there's 4 in this one, 4 in this one, 4, 4, 4, 4, and even the neutrals, 4 and 4. Okay, perfectly fine. They're running close proximity. Yep. We have to assume this is underground because it's coming into an open bottom. Okay. We also assume these are service conductors because I don't see an equipment ground. Okay, based on what we see. So at the end of the day, I don't see any problem with the installation. All these look the same length, and we'll assume on the other end it's the same way. Now, they probably go to the utility. We don't have any control over that anyway, but I'm sure that's how they're going to do it. Okay. So at the end of the day, I see absolutely nothing wrong with this installation. Now, the installation that you folks are familiar with is this installation. And this is what you're going to see on any other installation where it isn't underground, okay, where it isn't using non-metallic raceways. If you're using metal raceways, this way. If it's feeder applications or branch parallels, this way, okay, where I have a ABC, brown, orange, yellow, black, red, blue, with the neutral where present, and an equipment ground in each one of these raceways. Unless, of course, the raceway is being used as an equipment ground, which the code permits as well. So, again, that's up to you. All right, let's see here. And again, don't forget the characteristics, okay? Each phase, okay, important. Phase A or leg A, if you're doing with a single phase system in your paralleling, have to be the same length, same conductive material, copper or aluminum, whatnot, be the same size and circular mill, so you can't have 3 500s and then 3 600s. It's not going to work. All the same size. Have the same insulation type. So either you're using THHN or THWN-2 or XHHW-2, whatever you're using, at least for the leg A or phase A, or if single phase, leg A, then that is going to be all the same characteristics. Phase B or leg B, however system you're dealing with, those characteristics can be different from A, but everything in that set has to be the same. Again, it had to be B leg, let's say, it had to be the same length, same conductive material. So I could have A being copper and B being aluminum. I mean, nobody does that, but you could. Code doesn't prohibit it. Obviously, it's going to be larger for B because of needing to be larger to carry the same level of current as A. Okay, so we have to make sure it does that. Now, lugging, you got to be careful because you may have bought this and somebody switched to aluminum for leg B, let's say, or in a 3-phase, phase B. Then what ends up happening is you may have a lug that can't accommodate the increased size. And so that's a real situation when you buy equipment. But and that also could be the case where you bought the equipment and the lugs were sized for copper, and then all of a sudden you decide that you want to use aluminum. Well, just don't let the engineer and everybody jump to aluminum. You have to make sure the lug can receive that size of aluminum, okay? Just little things to think about when you're doing a parallel installation. Okay. So there you go. Let's see here. And also, when you ask about what about the rules for the equipment grounding conductor and its run in parallel, remember, we're not doing it to get a summation. What we're doing is typically until the 2026 is adopted, it's full size in each raceway based on the overcurrent protected device, right? All of those rules for equipment grounding conductors are going to be found in 250.122. And for parallel applications, it's going to be in subdivision F. F is going to talk about paralleling, whether you're paralleling them in one raceway, where you're putting multiple sets in a single, fully properly sized raceway, or you're running multiple raceways and doing like what we've been showing you in the example. If that's the case, then you want to go to 251.22F. It'll show you the proper way. And again, all of this is going to be based on the size of the overcurrent protected device. Okay, that makes sense? All right. Well, let's go on and spin the wheel. Hopefully you got something out of the day's lesson. There was so many comments on social media about that installation, and I'm going to tell you, 90% of them were wrong, and people were so sure that they were right. And there was one guy in there who was, I could tell he was blue in the face, constantly commenting and saying, no, go look at 300.3. I was like, dude, it's futile. You probably should just give up. Because ain't nobody going to, they're used to doing something one way, and they say, well, I would never do it that way. Like they think that they know something magical that you don't. And at the end of the day, if you do it right, it's going to be fine. They're in close proximity. It's not going to be an issue, especially in that open bottom installation. That is not a problem. If they were coming into the bottom of an enclosure that had knockouts and they were in close proximity, then you had a situation where we had non-metallic coming in and it's going through a ferrous wall, right? Then you have to go look at 300.20B and follow those rules for that, okay? Let's see here. I'm probably not going to get into calculation today, AJ. I'm already an hour and 15 minutes into this thing. Have a scenario CT to MDP, raceways on a wall in a rainbow. Oops, sorry. In a rainbow uniform, different in length of conductors will vary from bottom to the top. Absolutely, they will. Is there any other solution to get the conductors the same? Yeah. Obviously, you're going to have to take up the slack in the end enclosures. And if people don't like it, people say it looks nasty. I get it, but it is what it is. So again, it's the common sense approach. Is if the one that's the raceway is shorter, then make sure that when you're in the equipment where it's going to, you make sure that those conductors and everything on that phase, you're gonna, how you position them or where you route them, you're going to try to do it in order to make up that conductor length difference. I get it. There's so many electricians out there that say, no, Paul, but that looks crappy. I get it, but the code is what it is. So what do many people do? They ignore the paralleling rules and realize that there might be a foot or so difference, and they ignore it. Nobody calls it out. Inspectors don't call it out, that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And, that's good. So see, you did that, and the AHJ made you cut it out, right? Make sure you document that. Because if you, maybe you'll never have a problem, maybe. Because generally we do a load calculation and it's so much less than what it is really. Load calculations take things into consideration, but it doesn't always take into the great diversity that we're running into. So if the AHJ, and that's the first my message to any AHJ out there, know your role. Do not make people do shit, okay? I'm hoping that nothing ever happens, but AJ, if something ever happens and something melts down or something happens, call me. I'll represent you for free. Okay, and I will go against that AHJ, and I will help you sue the municipality if they come after your company or the company you work for, because they will lose. Everybody says the AHJ is the final say. The AHJ cannot make up their own rules. Everybody says, oh yeah, that's another social media one there. Oh, the AHJ can do whatever they want. They have the ultimate, that type of thing. And yeah, AJ, I might know him. That's okay. The old saying is, if my mama did wrong, I'd sue her. Okay, I love my mama. She's passed away. But I'm saying, code is code. I follow the true line. That case where the little child got electrocuted, and I always joke about that. Joke in the sense that I say, look, it's whoever got to me first. But in that situation, the manufacturer was wrong. I would have never represented the manufacturer because I know that they were wrong. And the electrician was wrong because the electrician did an installation that he should have known it was wrong. He should have known that the manufacturer sent the wrong transfer switch. Okay. So, at the end of the day, Van Man says, if you're long, you're wrong. If you're short, you're gone. There you go. So, yeah, if it's too short, then you know what? Nobody likes to splice that type of scenario, right? So anyway, yeah. So he told you to cut him off. That AHJ, maybe doesn't know anything about the paralleling rules and what you were trying to achieve. Does it look good? Now, who's notorious for this kind of stuff? Data centers, Google, Facebook. Okay, all those data centers, they want everything to be perfect, look pretty, everything uniformed, and everybody today is all enamored with this pretty work and all these bins and all this kind of stuff. They forget the fundamentals at the end of the day. Where does it give an exception for it says that all conductors have to be the same length? If you're running a parallel, I know they say, well, Paul, it's not going to hurt anything. But I look at them and I go, and I always love this when I'm in court or doing deposition, right? I look at them and they want to know, what's your personal opinion, Paul? And I'm like, I'm not here to give you my personal opinion. I'm here to give you what the code says. The code is based on a minimum safety standard. Means that if the code says that all those conductors need to be the same length, okay, then they need to be the same length. And you need to go and do whatever you can to make them the same length. Now, I'm not that guy. I'm not that parallel police. I'm not going to run out and look at all installations. And chances are you're probably not going to pull enough current through it and when you're running parallel like that to be an issue with that added resistance and things like that. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, Now, somebody asked me one time, it says, okay, if it's shorter and you calculate everything based on the longest run, okay, so current division based on the longest run, and you have the shorter run, which is going to have less resistance, and so it has less resistance means it's going to carry more current. So if you're designing your system and you're choosing your conductors with a elevated headroom as far as ampacity, then maybe your longest run is not going to get nearly the amount of current as the shortest run is going to get. But maybe you sized everything on the concept of I'm oversizing for amps. And so it's not going to make a difference because I'm nowhere near the headroom on my longest one. And so my shortest one is of the same size. So it can carry, maybe that's how they're designing it. But again, we can only hope that that's how they're designing it. But the code says this. Forget all that. Code says what? They have to be the same length. And cutting it off and you having that the rainbow effect of all the length. Obviously, if they're coming into the enclosures and they're all the same coming into the lug, then they're not the same length. It's a violation of the code. People look the other way all the time. You were told to cut them off. So the AHJ. The problem is the moment that an AHJ tells people to do stuff, meaning they don't really understand, and they stop worrying about the aesthetics in that type of scenario, and just say, look, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Everybody likes, their eyes get drawn to this, everything to look the same. I see these pictures all the time on Facebook and everybody likes that. And they think that's workmanship. That's bullshit. It's not, it looks pretty. But at the end of the day, I want function. So I like a pretty look, but we're going to have to make up the difference in the junction boxes. You with me? Okay, let's get some giveaways real quick. But he told you to do it. Hey, that's on him, right? Just make sure you document it. Okay. Hopefully nothing will ever happen. Hold on for a second. I got my sound turned off, so I can't hear the spinning wheels. So hold on. Let's see. Okay. Let's go. Giveaways. Hopefully got something out of today. It's a Friday, relaxing Friday. coffee's gone. Rob Thompson, you're in for the mini knife drawing. We do have some of those left, okay? But there's the little mini knife. And don't ask me how I know it's sharp, okay? Because I know it's sharp. I don't know if you've seen this, Rob. Hopefully, you'll win it. Ellis has won it. And let's see, who won the knife? Ellis and Dominique Sanchez won it. Make sure y'all send me y'all's contact info. Ellis, I think you just did. But you see it's got a lamp on the blade as well as a receptacle. It's the same on both sides. It does come with a loop if you want to put it on your key ring. I have mine on my key ring, and I use it to open up stuff all the time. So if ask me how I know it's sharp, people will tell you. I know it's sharp. Okay, let's spin again. So I got you down for that. Good luck. And also, by the way, the stuff that we sell on our website, the cards and all, they are not those cheap little flimsy cards. These are heavy-duty cards. So if you wondered, we're giving you heavy-duty stuff here. See how thick that is? Yeah, so they'll last. Don't worry. Knife. All right, so there's something about this wheel. Santana, you are also in the drawing for the mini knife. I think there's a glitch in this wheel, by the way. All right, let's do it again. Be careful, I know. I got the soft hands now, Paul. That's what everybody tells me. Since Paul doesn't do any work anymore, he's got soft hands. And then there's nah, don't worry. I just learned all this stuff just out of nowhere. All right, what's up, Poppy? Ooh, wait a minute. I got to make sure I spell that thing right. Poopy or 0, whatever that is, 420. And you are in the drawing for the VD card. And this is what they look like. Here's a VD card. It gives you the formula on one side and other formulas for length and maximum length, maximum amps. We give you the find, that type of thing, single phase, 3-phase. And then on the other side, I give you a little lesson on how to find the exact K. You don't need to find the exact K. All right, you can use 12.9 for copper, 21.2 for aluminum. But it's interesting, a little lesson. I always like to throw a little lesson in there if I can. So you're in the drawing for that. Okay. So good luck to you on June 30th, which is my birthday. Whoop whoop whoop. I will be 56 years old. I know I look older, so I'm young. I'm still young. All right, put this. I tell myself anyway. And I've been doing this for over 40 years, so that lets you know when I started, in nearly 40 years, when I started in this industry, thanks to my brother, who was an electrician, who got me into this, and at a young age, helping him as a helper. And that's what spawned me to get into it. And so if it wasn't for him, I would have never gone to vocational school if it wasn't for my brother. I saw the way he loved it. Okay, Fast Tracks Tube. Okay, Mike from the Outdoors, you get immediate access. Just go to fasttrackstube.com, go where it says members area, click on the members link, and then go in and sign up for a free account, and then just let us know, and we'll upgrade you. If you already have it, let me know. I'll spin again for it, and let you have a chance to get on something else if you already have Fast Tracks Tube. Paul still wants one of them wire waffles. I don't know, Paul. Maybe it might happen. Not sure. We'll see. All right, David Bueno. And for those that don't know what TradeHog is, it is literally AI for contractors. Okay. It helps answer all those technical questions that you may have out in the field. It's optimized for use in the field. The answers come back very optimized for your mobile device. So it's great when you're stuck out in the field and you need a technical question answered. You can ask the hog and the hog will give you a very detailed, and you can ask a follow-up to the hog and keep digging deeper, and it will get even more intelligent and it will get deeper as you add it. That type of thing. All right, let's do another drawing. So good luck to you, David, to win that trade hog. What else do we got? My numbers are dropping off, so I'm either boring people to death or it's just our normal folks. Hey, Jonathan. There we go. Jonathan Battles. Okay, Jonathan. Speaking of which, Jonathan, I don't know if you saw. Hold on for a second. Hold on for a second, Jonathan. Hold on for a second, Jonathan. Jonathan ordered one, and just want to let him see his. Okay, let's go back to the chat real quick. There you go, Jonathan. There's yours. Battles Electric. There you go. All on there, nice. Got a little. Put a little coffee hour card in there for you. Okay, sharing the love. Yeah, but there you go. There's yours. I love this color. This is kind of like an aqua blue. Well, I don't know, like a blue, but it's a darker blue. It's a nice color. So anyway, got yours right there. Free South Park Mexican. Okay. Well, yeah. Hell yeah, free the South. Oh, John says, I want to cut my finger. Oh, God, me. You're a trip. Okay, there's always one, and there you go. So there's our specially challenged individual today. And he's Gots me. So interesting thing about somebody like that is that now that he posted his name, Gots me, I make sure that he is blocked on YouTube from ever seeing any of our videos again, ever. So, so that's what I love about people that post stuff, because then I can capture their name and I can make sure that they're blocked forever. And they probably don't care, but they have, no better things to do. But you're welcome. Okay. We enjoy having you here. All right. But all lives matter, to be honest with you. All right. Till next time, folks. That's all we're going to be giving away today. Jonathan, I need to make sure, hold on, what you got here. In the knife. Okay, so you're registered for the mini knife. Okay, all right, cool. All right, folks, that is it for today. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend and enjoy it with the family. Get recharged, and we'll be back at it on Monday. I think we may start another series on Monday. I am not sure yet. And all of y'all wish Jeff well, because he's still not feeling well. But we were able to get things caught up. There's those decision coins. And I tell you all about this coin. I use this coin. This is not just black chalking on it. This is etched in it. I use this coin as a funny thing a lot. I carry one in my pocket. So me and my wife argue about, where you want to eat, here, there, whatever. And I'm like, well, let's let the coin decide. So that we flip this coin almost for all kinds of stuff that's a decision to make, that type of thing. I mean, yeah, you can flip a quarter, same way, heads or tails, but this is neat. Just a neat little novelty thing. This is my favorite coin, by the way. I don't know if anybody says that. I just enjoy this coin in it. And so the thought of the concept of having that kind of coin. Anyway, that's it. All right, folks, won't be coming back. We're going to let you run. I've already kept you an hour and a half. So appreciate all of you. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you on Monday. And for all of you that hung around, appreciate you. Till next time, stay safe. God bless.